Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Greinberg and Bigz. I am Bigz. He is Greinberg. Today we are talking about wide receiver ADP Goldmines. Let's get into it. Producer. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast on the Fantasy Football Advice Network on the YouTubes. We're here to talk about wide receivers today. No intro. Let's just see. Okay. Now, I like suggestions and I want to read the comments and I want people to tell us how to help. But one person saying to speed up the intro or whatever, I'm out. You know what? Mike is my friend and I like talking to him. And so I'm going to do that. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I'm doing awesome, friend. And I fully support your jibber jabber back and forth with me because that's when we get to spend our quality time together, Bigz.
Okay, well, I mean, let's get into it because we don't want to.
Let's get into it though.
Too long. All right, so we're talking about wide receiver Goldmines. Exactly. Spoiler alert: our next segment of shows after these three are going to be landmines because Mike is that clever. All right, so our wide receiver ADP Goldmines. My number 3. This is a total shot in the dark. You're going to see a common theme with my 3 guys. They are all third-year wide receivers. I'm a big proponent of the third-year breakout, as we saw with Nico Collins. Devontae Adams was a 3-year breakout. It took Keenan Allen a lot longer than that. And I don't think this guy is primed for a third-year breakout, but he's currently going as the wide receiver 95 overall, 269. Now, if you have 12 teams and you're drafting 15 players, that's roughly 130 guys total. 130, my math was way off on that one. That's roughly 170 guys. And if he's going at overall 269, that means he's not being drafted. So this isn't really an ADP goldmine. This is more of a keep your eye on Treylon Burks. Now, I know he had a bunch of injuries in his first year. Then when he was set to kind of take off as the wide receiver 1 last year, they went out and they got DeAndre Hopkins. And then this year, they've added a couple guys, and much to the dismay of Treylon Burks owners in Dynasty, because he had a ton of talent coming out of Arkansas, and we were really banking on him to have a good career. He just happened to be drafted into the worst situation possible. He hasn't really developed a relationship with Will Levis yet, but I just wanted to throw his name out there because I am keeping my eyes on him. My number 2 is Jameson Williams. He's another guy who has had an inauspicious start to his career. Pardon me. He had a 6-game suspension. He was coming off an injury to begin his rookie year, and then he got a 6-game suspension for gambling. So his rookie season was kind of a wash. Last year, he started to emerge a little bit as a deep threat down the field. But what happens with third-year breakouts is that they kind of come out of nowhere, and Jameson Williams may come out of nowhere, kind of like he did at Alabama. He was behind Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson when he was at Ohio State, and he said, yeet, and took his talents to Tuscaloosa and became a pretty high draft pick. And he's super fast. So, I mean, you could do worse. He's currently going as the wide receiver 48. So you're basically going to be taking 4 wide receivers before him. And as a 5th wide receiver, overall 120 ADP as a 5th wide receiver, I mean, that's a bench guy. You could do worse. So grab him in the 5th round. That's a gold. That's gold. It's gold.
It's gold mo. And you know what? I mean, I agree with that, Biggs, and it's worth a stab at that one because he's a guy, like you said, the draft capital's there, the talent is there. He had a weird couple years there with the injury and the suspension, and I just think that he's getting hyped up quite a bit right now. So it's a guy that might ADP might float a little bit higher than what it is now. So I think if you're doing drafts right now, it's a good time to get him, and hopefully his price doesn't inflate too much there. So Biggs was talking about those third year wide receivers that are coming in as breakouts.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I was.
I'm going to go into some veteran guys that are going to be ADP gold mines, guys that are kind of being brushed aside, if you will, not getting the notoriety because of this great rookie class coming in and some premier wide receivers around happening right now. So I'm going to talk about three guys, and my first guy is Amari Cooper, and he stands out as a value pick in 2024. He has key statistics. Entering his 10th season, Cooper was the wide receiver 17 in fantasy points per game in 2023, showing no decline in his performance. He achieved career best metrics in yards per reception, average depth of target, yards per route run, and yards per target. He just demonstrated high efficiency. He's historically been a consistent fantasy asset, finishing as wide receiver 14, wide receiver 21 in 6 of 9 seasons, regardless of quarterback changes. Currently drafted outside the top 24, he offers significant value with his role in the Browns' primary wide receiver role behind Deshaun Watson. Fantasy managers should consider Cooper for his consistent production and potential to outperform his ADP. My second guy is Deontay Johnson.
I want to hop in here real quick.
Yeah.
In regards to Amari Cooper,
sure.
I don't really like to buy current player jerseys because Amari Cooper is a current player jersey that I bought when he was on the Raiders, and then suddenly he was not on the Raiders anymore, along with my Derek Carr Amari Cooper shirt and my Khalil Mack jersey. I decided to stop doing that, and so now if I'm going to order a jersey, it's going to be a legacy player that's not in the league anymore. But I still love Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think he's just such a value. And if you look at the 5 games last year that his performance dipped, is if you look at who the quarterback play was, and as soon as Flacco was in the game or Deshaun Watson, his metrics flew off the board. He probably would have finished as a top 10 wide receiver if either of those guys played the whole season. So I'm highly invested in Amari Cooper in 2024. And here's another guy, I talked about him briefly, was Deontay Johnson. He's going to be a valuable asset. You know, when Mason Rudolph took over in week 7, Johnson led the team with 26% target share and 9.2 points per game. Now he's in a new environment. Despite injuries and offseason changes, he's gonna thrive in this new offense with Dave Canales leading that charge, and Bryce Young is going to need to rely on somebody. He's expected to be Bryce Young's primary target with a potential of 30% target share, in my opinion. Currently drafted as the wide receiver 43, Johnson offers substantial value. He's likely to outperform his ADP given his potential high volume and increased production in Carolina's offense. Let's bring Schultze on here. Schultze, what do you think about those? What do you think about those two guys, Amari Cooper and Deontay Johnson? Are you with me or are you without me on these guys?
Big time in on both of them. Amari, let's talk Amari. So Amari Cooper, classic. Oh, he's always hurt. He can't stay on the field. My guy has played 14 plus games every year of his career. So first of all, take that narrative and shove it. Number 2, we're talking targets. He has seen 96 plus targets every year of his career. And the 96 year was the only year he's not hit 100. Okay. So, and then you look at fantasy points. 1 year of his career, the 96 target year, he has not hit 200 points on the season. This dude is just Mr. Consistency. He's produced in 3 different teams, multiple different offenses, multiple different quarterbacks, coming off a season where the Browns had just dog shit quarterback play all year. It's only going to get better, even if it's not substantially good. Like, it could still just be average, and he's still going to produce because that's just what he does.
sounds like Mike Evans light.
That's a great, yes, that is a great comparison.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand why everyone is. I used to be this guy, okay, and until about 2 seasons ago, I went, you know what? All this guy does is just produce. What the hell am I doing? So yeah, love Amari. Deontay, huge fan here too. I've been huge on him for a few seasons. And I have him in a few leagues. I also love playing him in DFS. He's always priced really well. So I just have like burning images watching Red Zone of Kenny Pickett just pissing me off so bad because you would see Deontay Johnson wide open and he just doesn't throw it, or he does, and it's just a garbage ball. So yeah, you talk about Dave Canales he's like been the quarterback whisperer, of recent. And he's getting thrust into this offense, and he's going to be the number one target guy. Targets for days, a fantastic route runner, in an offense that was so bad last year and still made Adam Thielen relevant. So, yeah, Deontay Johnson to the moon.
Love it. All right, Bigz. Let's round it out.
Bye. All right. My number one, I'm going to shine the light. Shine the light, shine it. Is Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 11. Overall, number 19. Now, that's not a lot of value. He's being drafted really high. Last season, I don't even think he finished in the top 12. He may have, but I forgot. But he's being drafted in round 2. But here's the thing. All right. Derek Carr has another year in New Orleans. They have a new offensive coordinator in New Orleans. Did you know that? His name is Clint Kubiak, son of Broncos legend Gary Kubiak. Now, he comes over from the San Francisco 49ers to offensive coordinate the New Orleans Saints and install a new offense. He was the passing game coordinator for the 49ers. And what does the passing game coordinator do? Schemes George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey open. And how'd that work out? Super Bowl much? Clint Kubiak may not necessarily be leading the Saints to the Super Bowl. There is a huge gap between Derek Carr and Brock Purdy. Go back and watch our last show. Funny, I have my number one are 2 Saints. My number one was Brock Purdy on the quarterback show. I am so dumb sometimes. It's ridiculous. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, so Clint Kubiak coming over. Chris Olave, there is no Michael Thomas. I think he's going to have a pretty big year. What else do they have? They've got Juwan Johnson, who can't stay on the field. They've got Taysom Hill, who's kind of a gadget guy. They've got Rashid Shaheed, who's a deep target. A.T. Perry is kind of the same. There aren't a lot of passing options. So that means that Derek Carr is going to have to be feeding Chris Olave the ball. And Olave has shown that he can handle that pressure. He had 136 targets last year. I see that number significantly rising with this new Saints offense without some of the pass catchers around from last year. Also, spoiler alert for running backs, it also means big time gains for Alvin Kamara. But that's all I've got. Bob.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Bigz. For me, my number one target and ADP goal mine for 2024 at the wide receiver position is Terry McLaurin, and he's a guy that you need to target. He's the ultimate ADP goal mine, and this is why you should draft him. He burst into the league in 2019, 58 receptions, 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaged 14 fantasy points per game, and he kind of stayed steady through the last 3 seasons, averaging almost 14 fantasy points per game. This level of consistency is invaluable in your fantasy lineup. Entering his 6th season in the NFL, McLaurin remains the Commanders' wide receiver 1 with high target shares and the potential for increased volume. Yes, I said increased volume. He's set for a standout year, especially with coaching and new quarterback upgrades on the horizon. The Commanders selected Jaden Daniels as their quarterback, known for his dynamic passing and rushing abilities. Daniel boosts McLaurin's fantasy outlook significantly. A strong offensive line and quality receivers like McLaurin and Jahan Dodson ensures Daniels has the support he needs to excel. McLaurin, proven consistency, prime wide receiver 1 position, and the arrival of a new exciting quarterback make him a must-have player for 2024. Don't sleep on Terry McLaurin. Draft him, especially at his ADP. He is wide receiver 32 on Fantasy Pros. With all this said, I have him as a top 20 wide receiver in 2024, and he could push the top 15, and that would gain you the edge you need to secure victory this season. Terry McLaurin is your 2024 fantasy football game changer at the wide receiver position. Boom.
He's scary.
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry. All right, you guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. Like and subscribe and hit the bell, because we got running backs coming up in our next episode, and you're not going to want to miss that, but we know you won't. Thank you for watching the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Bigz on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Follow us on Twitter. I am at BigBoned at FFB. He is at FFCanuck99. Schultzy is at SCHU1TZY, because he's clever like that. And I hope you win.
We hope you win. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Appreciate everyone. Peace.